the mat for tryouts last time, and I was like, I don't belong here. That was an unworthiness wound. And then I had to debunk that. I was like, hold on a minute. I thought I didn't belong here because there was all these black belt. Every other woman was black belt, apart from me and my sister. and I was like, I don't belong here in the tryout room for Great Britain martial arts teams. You just dive in, you just take the step and trust that you'll work it out. And I think that's another thing. If you've been sat in your comfort zone for a long time, you want to have a plan that is completely planned out. And so you sit there thinking, well, I could go for that job, but if I went for that job, I'd have to change this and that and the other, and I'll have to learn about this and that and the other, and I'm not quite sure I've got that skill, and what if this happens? And then you start catastrophizing, then you're like, actually, maybe I won't do it. So whereas 5 things that people could do if they spot or feel that they might have an unworthiness wound. So first of all is, so reframing I'm not good enough to I am worthy, or I am good enough, just because I exist, or because maybe there's a load of evidence that you've got that you are worthy. So it might be that, like, for example, when I stood on the mat for tryouts last time, and I was like, I don't belong here. That was an unworthiness wound. And then I had to debunk that. I was like, hold on a minute. I thought I didn't belong here because there was all these black belt. Every other woman was black belt, apart from me and my sister. And I was like, I don't belong here in the tryout room for Great Britain martial arts team. And then I had to catch that and go, hold on a minute. I've won medals. I'm a European champion. I've won medals again. They sent me in an invite, you know. So I'm just going to step on the mat and give it my best shot. But it's that catching it, isn't it? And
it is exactly, and that's the thing about measuring your wins, right? You might think, this is a terrible thing I was doing, is that you'll achieve something, and as you said earlier, you forget about it and you jump on to the next thing. It's like, that's not good enough, so I'm going to jump to the next thing. But every little step of improvement that we make, whether it's inner healing or externally, deserves a pat on the back. It deserves a celebration. And if you actually, as you said, measure back to how many medals you've won, or measure back to the last year. Who were you a year ago? What did you do in that 12 months? You know, it might seem minuscule, but write down every little thing, and you're going to see how much you actually progressed. And give yourself some celebration and congratulations for that. Because, you know, when we don't actually sit down and measure it, we're kind of going, oh, sure, not really happened. And I was in a meeting the other day, with the guy who's helping me kind of go self-employed and stuff. And he actually listed out all the things that I achieved over the courses I've done and everything that I achieved over the last few months. Or no, yeah, since Christmas. And I was just like, Jesus, haven't I all right back to me? I was like, Jesus, I have an awful lot done, haven't I? Whereas initially I was like, I've not done in the last few months. And then I was just like, no. You have loads done in the last few months. You really have.
And that's another great thing for journaling, isn't it? So it's not just journaling our thoughts to debunk and our feelings and when something's bad. It's recording those small wins, because when we and some of them aren't even small wins, it's fair to say, but you know, it's not just celebrating it in the moment. That's important, you know, however you want to celebrate it, a tick on a sheet or a bubble bath or just a well done me, or I'm proud of myself, or whatever it is to celebrate, little celebration. But to put that somewhere, because it's small, or because you've celebrated and moved on, in 6 months' time, can you remember all those things that you gave yourself a celebration for? Because they were worth celebrating at the time. So they're worth remembering, particularly if you're going through a moment where you're like, I don't think I'm getting anywhere. And in life, we get to these plateaus, don't we? Where we feel like, you know, we're pushing forward, particularly on growth journeys. You're like, I'm growing. Then you hit a plateau. It's like this on dieting, only the other way. With your weight, you hit a plateau and you're like, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And to persist in those moments where you don't feel that you're moving forward, looking back at how far you've come, gives you more confidence and resolve to carry
it
on.
really does, because when we kind of hit, we get through, we go through pauses where I like to say being is doing. But we get frustrated in those pauses thinking we should be over here. And we get angry with ourselves. And we're like, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. And then you're kind of reprimanding yourself for not going quicker. And it's in those moments that you should actually write down the last 6 months and say to yourself, no, you have done so much. And when you actually, you might have only took baby steps, but put all those baby steps together and it looks like such an achievement. So, the progress we've made over the last year, and, even if you didn't do it externally, the internal progress, the internal growth, the survival from past toxic, abusive relationships, the survival from addictions, all of these things, we never give ourselves enough praise for the inner work. And that inner work is the thing that's so important.
And actually, when we went in the training with Ed, one of the things he said is measuring is so important because you don't remember. And when you're working with a client, you encourage them to say how they feel in certain areas of their life. Or it might be, so whatever problem they've got, say you're like confidence. What's your confidence now? Where do you want to be? And then if you're regularly saying, how confident do I feel this week? How confident, and then you can look back and see how you have progressed. So measuring is such a great tool.
That's why
it doesn't feel like it in the moment.
Yeah.
It feels like another thing you've got to do. Yeah. But when you look back, you're like, wow. When you realize how far you've come, it gives you so much more resolve to carry on, doesn't it? It gives you that.
And it does. With the fact that we do videos, like if you look back on your earlier videos, you're going to be like, Jesus, who's your one? Like, and I was saying this in the video the other day. All my older videos said lack of confidence. My appearance showed my lack of worthiness. You know what I mean? And as I progressed, I've gotten more confident in my abilities, but also more confident in myself. And the more confident I feel, the more I put into my appearance as well. Do you know what I mean? So you can actually see that in the videos, but you can see it in my voice, you can see it in my confidence, and even just having that proof in front of you, kind of saying, yeah, you're a lot different. Like even that picture I said to change, like, 5 months ago is that old picture. And I'm looking at it going, that's not who I am anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? So even something like that, it's just like, how did I feel 5 months ago internally? Like, that's external, I look different. But how did I feel internally? I wasn't that confident. I was still going through an awful lot of things. And I can see my confidence build every day. It's a great way of building your feeling of worthiness. It really is.
Yeah, and I think as well, even with each other, because me and Angela meet every Saturday for at least an hour, don't we? We keep in contact over WhatsApp a lot. We practice on a Tuesday in there, so we're in quite a lot of contact, me and Angela, all the time. And because we have been on the journey with each other, and we've spurred each other on, and we've coached each other when we've needed it, and counseled each other when we've needed it, and given encouragement when we've needed it. It's even hard for me to remember what you were like, and myself, So I do feel like I'd go back and watch my first Mindset Live. We must be somewhere. I think I'm somewhere in the 20s by now with just me, or maybe it might be nearly 25 with you. I'm not sure how many I've done now. Can't remember when I started.
Yeah, I know. We met in May last year. Was our first meeting.
What, May? Was it?
Yeah, so it's almost a year. That's only actually it's 10 months because I have the dates there somewhere. Actually, yeah. The 23rd of May was our first meeting.
This one.
And
that's our first meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, first ever meeting. Like, you know what I mean? And that's only 10 months ago. You know what I mean? And the progression from me speaking to you about going on videos, that was back then. And the change in you I've seen, I can notice the difference from what you were like back then and how you are now. It's profound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that person I first met obviously
I
doesn't
don't
exist
exist
anymore.
anymore.
Yeah.
There's a new
So,
girl in town.
you know what I mean? Like, I remember you were the same as me when I first started videos. It was like that feeling, the feeling of not being good enough, or, being afraid to get your voice out there. And your confidence has built so much over the last year. It's amazing. Like, you have to give yourself credit for that as well. Like, really do. I'm so proud of you.
And you for helping me, giving me the push.
Yeah.
And now I'm passing it on to other
Yeah.
people. I was
Love that.
helping someone else the other day.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know how that works as well. Like, I've met you. I've been your encourager when you were first doing your videos, and now you're encouraging the next person. And I just think that is so
It
beautiful.
isn't
It's
it?
lovely.
It's
It's
like a
lovely.
little
Yeah.
chain
Yeah.
of help. And she, no doubt, in the future, will be passing that on, that gift on. It's like passing the gift. Pass it forward,
Exactly.
isn't
And
it?
that's what we're here for. We're here to learn how to do it and then help the next person to do the thing as well. So, that's why we're here today, is to help other people to overcome their fears of unworthiness, their issues and their things as well. And that's what the beauty of inner healing is, that we're not just doing it to heal ourselves, we're doing it to heal the collective. And that's really it, like.
Yeah. Let's see what else I've got. So taking aligned action. So that's it says here, actually, setting boundaries with the people you need to set boundaries with, celebrating small wins and noting it down to look back to later, and very importantly, stepping outside of your comfort zone. So taking those risks. And I do think that it's a muscle. It's a muscle that you grow stepping out of your comfort zone. I was definitely somebody who didn't see opportunities, and if I did see an opportunity, I would slam that door shut. That's not for me. And it is because the fear of failure, risk being seen, that if fear of rejection, so I put myself forward
It's a
and not
fear
be
of success
wanted.
as well.
Yeah.
We can actually fear that it will work out sometimes, because we're so, we're creatures of habit. We've been so used to toxicity. We've been so used to low vibration energy. We've been so used to poverty consciousness that when we did jump into this new world, it was scary. And a part of us was like, no, this is unfamiliar. Let's go back. You know what I mean? So it is that feeling of like, we're actually afraid it will work out because we don't know what that's like.
Yeah. But it's like a muscle though, doesn't it? So like before, I would just have all these thoughts, all this imposter syndrome, or self-doubts, or fear and of rejection, or don't want to put myself out there for anything. So if an opportunity ever came up, and often I didn't see opportunities, but since I started meditating, that all these doors seem to open around me. And now my biggest problem is I just keep walking through those doors, and now I'm like, I'm juggling quite a few things at the moment.
So that is the beauty of meditation and becoming aware. Where we actually all we saw was clouds. We had the blinkers on, like, with the horses, and we didn't see anything around us, and we just weren't aware. And like the universe would have been throwing stuff at us, but we just didn't see it. And now with meditation, we're more self-aware. The blinkers come off, and it's just like, whoa, man, this is amazing. There's so much to do. There's so much to see. There's so much to achieve. And it is about jumping out of that comfort zone, pushing through that fear, because I'll do it when I'm ready. You're never going to be ready. I'll do it when the fear goes away. The fear doesn't go away until you do the thing. And the confidence only builds after you do the thing. Not, I'll do it when I'm confident. No.
We do it backwards. No. We think of it backwards. It's like, when I've got the confidence, I'll do it. And it's like, no, confidence is by doing the thing. Yes. You've got to do the thing, and then you get confident. You don't get the confidence first. Confidence comes through the process of doing the thing.
It really does. It really does. Like, I was so afraid of the camera. I was so afraid to do videos. I was so insecure. And now I absolutely love it. I never thought I would enjoy it, but I love it. Every day I record, I'm buzzing after it. You know what I mean? And it's just, I became confident because I pushed through the resistance. I pushed through the fear. So I strengthened that muscle, as you said.
Yeah. built the muscle up.
Yeah.
And it does get easier. You just doubt yourself less. You just dive in. You just take the step and trust that you'll work it out. And I think that's another thing. If you've been sat in your comfort zone for a long time, you want to have a plan that is completely planned out. And so you sit there thinking, well, I could go for that job, but if I went for that job, I'd have to change this and that and the other, and I'll have to learn about this and that and the other, and I'm not quite sure I've got that skill, and what if this happens? And then you start catastrophizing, then you're like, actually, maybe I won't do it. Yeah. Whereas now, we don't expect perfect. So I'll see a door open and I'm like, oh, I'll stick my toe in and see what it's like. You know, you just like take a step and go, well, I'll take the first step and I'll work out all the other steps along the way. You don't need to have all, but I think when we've spent a long time in our comfort zone, we don't realize that's how you're supposed to do things, because we're so used. We know, it's like you said, we know the map. We've been here for ages. We can see everything in great detail in our comfort zone. So we're used to being knowing exactly what's going to come next and where everything is. So stepping out of your comfort zone, you want it to be the same. You want it to be as familiar, but it's not going to be. And until you start stepping out your comfort zone regularly and realize it's okay to not have it all planned out, all that matters is taking a well thought out step. And sometimes not even that well thought out, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Sometimes it's just, let's leap and see what happens.
Do it imperfectly. Yeah, as you said, we delay doing things or we procrastinate things because we need it a certain way. It needs to be perfect or I can't do it. But if you wait for it to be perfect, you're going to be waiting forever. Yeah. So you really need to do it. Start messy. Start wrong. There's no such thing as wrong anyway. Do the mistakes. Do the things. Learn how not to do it so you can do it better. But you can't learn how not to do it or how to do it right if you don't do it wrong first. Do it imperfect. Do it messy. What we learned in a course was CCIA, consistent, committed, imperfect action. Yeah. Once you're consistent, once you're committed, once you don't care what it looks like, just do it. And the more you do it, the more exciting it gets. And that's it. If you're living from your soul, if you're doing something that's your calling, it's going to be exciting. Even if you're a little bit scared, if you're scared and excited at the same time, you should do it. You know, even if you're a little bit scared, push through that fear, because and that's the thing, even with creativity, you know, we don't continue with art because it's too messy, or, you know, I'm not good enough. But you need to practice. Do it messy, do it fun, be a child, you know, let it be as it is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Do it imperfect, and then it will actually become perfect for you once you get comfortable with it. Yeah, this is it.
The fear of failure does keep people trapped, doesn't it? Because they're like, that's why people want to have it figured out and have it 100% figured out and perfect before they take the first step, which is, it's very unlikely that the first time you do something you're going to make it, you know, it's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely. Even if you do something 1 billion times, it's probably not going to be perfect. So and so then it just stops you. Then you shrink back and reason that you shouldn't take the step in the first place. Yeah. So what we really need to do, and this is a difficult thing initially, is to let go of other people's opinions of you, because the only way really to have stable worthiness is by being self-guided and giving self-worth, or viewing your own self-worth. Whatever you care what other people think of you, if you care more about what other people think of you than you trust your own judgment on something, then you're not going to, firstly, you're not going to be authentic, are you? But you're not going to want to take the risks because you're not going to want to look silly. Mm-hmm. The fear of failure is not about you. It's about other people seeing you as a failure, you know? And the easiest way, which isn't as easy, it's easier said than done, but the easiest way to get rid of fear of failure is not caring what anyone else
Exactly.
thinks, you know?
Exactly. And that's the thing. People are going to judge you if you're doing it the right way or the wrong way or their perceived right way. Because a lot of the time people that are judging aren't doing things there the right. And when I say right way is authentic. Not
Yeah.
and the wrong way is fake. So the people who are doing it the wrong way, which is the fake way, the societal way, are judging you because you're doing it the authentic way. But they're going to judge you no matter what because they're not happy with their own lives.
Yeah.
And if we continue to care what people think, that's going to keep us from being authentic, as you just said. So just forget what they think. Who cares? Be weird. Let your freak flag fly. Be authentic. Just be loud and proud as you are. You're here to shine as you, not as a sheep, as yourself. And that's it. We want to see that inner beauty. And that inner beauty does come from self-acceptance. The quote I found the other day, you need to learn how to fly. First, love yourself.
Yeah.
And that's it. It all starts with loving you. And the best way to do that is by rediscovering your inner child, reparenting them, and loving them. I think that the quickest way to get high in your self-worth and self-love is by doing that inner child healing.
Yeah, inner child work is really important, isn't it? And self-care and self-love and self-compassion. So it's looking at how you speak to yourself when you make a mistake. Are you a safe space to make a mistake? You know, do you drop a spoon and go, oh, you know, silly me, or you've forgotten something and you call yourself an idiot? You know, would you want to talk to yourself like you would a child? You know, not condescending, but like, I mean, you wouldn't say the harsh words that people often say to themselves to a small child. Like if you
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
say
anyway.
it to a child, don't say it to yourself. Yeah.
But you say that, but then you remember your own childhood and you're like, yeah, don't do what they did.
Yeah.
Speak to a child as the way you would speak to a child, not the way you've heard children be spoken to.
Yeah.
To.
So if you imagine that you had a perfect new human being. I love this analogy, actually. Imagine that you were given a brand new human being, a baby, and your job is to look after that baby for its whole life, and all the way through its life, all the way through its journey, and make sure that that baby thrives, that it feels loved, that it feels worthy, and all those, you know, that it can be successful, that it can contribute to the world in a positive way, and that's your job. But that's your job for you. That is you. You know,
that is you.
You were gifted a baby.
That's effectively inner child healing. You're taking your inner child and you're adopting them as your own child.
Yeah.
So treat that child the way it deserves to be treated, not the way it was treated in real life from your own childhood. You know, especially if it was traumatic. You know, speak to that child as if the way they deserve to be loved. And that is inner child healing. Yeah. That is literally reparenting yourself, re-loving yourself, so that once that other child feels worthy, you're going to feel worthy.
Yeah. It's 7:10. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
We've been going, we could go on forever with this. So 5 things that people could do if they spot or feel that they might have an unworthiness wound. So first of all is the inner child work, or speaking to yourself with the same compassion and kindness and love that you would speak to a child. So check how you're speaking to yourself. 2 would be journaling. So journaling, not just the doubts or the negative thought patterns that give you clues of how to debunk or to look within where it's coming from, but also your wins. You know, when you do something well, log that down to look back on later. 3, meditation. Meditation is always a great way to gain clarity. I think, you know, you can you might say you want to go for a job, perhaps, you know, and you're like, oh, and you get all these doubts and stuff like that. Spending some time in meditation and observing your thoughts and separating yourself from the thoughts, or even just not really thinking very much and having a break from it, can give you such clarity. You can have moments of clarity, can't you, in there where it's subconsciously sorts itself out, and then you're just presented with a less of a jumbled mind at the end of it.
You get the answers. You really do. When you can remove the stress and the worry and the jumbled thoughts, as you were just explaining,
and the ego.
The ego. It just really clears the way, and the answer is presented to you. It's like that whole thing. If you're trying to push through a brick wall head first, you're not going to get through the brick wall. It's just going to hurt your head. Step back, see the bigger picture, and there's the fucking door. Open it.
Yeah. Taking steps outside of your comfort zone, definitely. And I was going to say another one. Can you think of one? Journaling, breath, like all the stuff that we say, like mindfulness and all that stuff, is thinking through your thoughts and debunking them, reframing them, and getting curious about when was it that this idea of your unworthiness was planted, and working through that, in a child work.
And it's as I said, it's triggered by childhood wounding, but it's also triggered by past relationship trauma. So it's remembering that everything that happened was the polar opposite of what was true. So anything that a narcissist may have picked on, they picked on your highest qualities. So anything they said to lower your self-esteem was actually, it was on actually your highest points. So if you're able to remove yourself from the fact that everything they said was a complete, false opposite to what was true, just remember that. I think we're very hard on ourselves because we believe the words of other people, or we believe the behaviors of other people. So it's trying to, disbelieve that and understand that none of it is actually true. And that's a really good pointer, because, we can get so fixated on the words and behaviors of others. So it's understanding the truth of the fact that anything they have done is not really a reflection of you, but rather a reflection of themselves.
Yeah, we see people's behaviors and we see it through our lens, and we don't see beyond to see that they're also looking at the world through their own lens as well, and we don't see the intention behind the behavior. We just see the behavior and then view it from our level of wounding, and it's having compassion for everyone, I think. Having some empathy for everyone. And that doesn't mean keeping yourself in a toxic relationship or hanging around with people that are bad for you, but it's not getting resentful and not, if somebody is treating you badly or they make you feel like you're not worthy, just cut them out of your life, block them.
Yes, block. You're very right to block somebody, even if you've got history together. If they're an asshole, they're a fucking asshole.
Don't feel that you have to keep pleasing somebody.
Exactly.
It's that saying, isn't it? Like, don't stop swimming oceans for people who wouldn't jump puddles for you.
And this especially comes to family members. We think we have to put up with toxic words and toxic behaviors just because they're blood. No.
Yeah.
No. If they're family and that's even worse, because we put up with it for longer. Walk away. Choose yourself. You do not have to be around negative, low vibration, toxic energy just because you've known somebody a long time or because they're your family. Walk away and choose yourself. And that will actually help with your self-worth. Your self-worth is being diminished by the words of other people if you're in a toxic dynamic.
Absolutely. And so this week, maybe try and catch yourself. If you haven't done any of this work, this inner healing, try and catch yourself in a moment of self-doubt and write it down and have a little think. Can you debunk it? Where did it come from? What's triggered it? Was it a person? Was it a situation? Does it remind you of something? Does it remind you of someone? And start that start unpicking it. Yeah. And lots of self-care always.
Exactly.
Right, it's 7:15, so it's been a super long one. So I will finish by saying join Teacher Mindset Matters on Facebook, our group for teachers, and there's lots of coaches in there that can help you from a whole variety of backgrounds. We have nutritional experts, we have transformational experts, we have there's somebody who knows a lot about Reiki and spiritual readings in there. There's people who can coach you through stress and anxiety, and there's me and Angela there. We know lots too, and we just want to have open conversations. You can post anonymously, so it's a closed group, so no one can see what you're posting. We want to help you, and there's lots of positive messages to beat the algorithm, because there is lots of negativity out there. So yes, join Teacher Mindset Matters. We'd love to talk to you on Facebook. We're the only one.